What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we are going to take a look and a listen to Senator Bernie Sanders. A couple of days ago, he went on the Senate floor and he talked about this new bill that they are considering passing within either today or tomorrow. They're pretty much talking about passing it very, very soon. But Senator Bernie Sanders has some issues with the bill. Now, he likes most of what's in the bill, but he thinks they should be going further with this bill. Today, I want to talk about Medicare, and I'm going to show you a clip, and we're going to talk about this clip, and he's going to be talking about what's in this plan when it comes to Medicare and what he thinks they should improve on, because there are some improvements that could be made when it comes to Medicare, and we're gonna listen to him, and we'll talk about what's going on with this Inflation Reduction Act, because this is one of those deals, and I've talked about this before. They kind of rush this through. They're trying to get something done before the midterm election, and I think honestly, it's kind of it will help people, but it's a sloppy bill. It's a sloppy bill, and they do need to improve on this bill. And I'm thinking that they'll make some changes. They'll do some amendments and make some changes to this bill before they pass it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, on this channel, we talk about money and the financial struggles that Americans are facing today. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so let's get right over to Senator Bernie Sanders. He's going to be talking about the Medicare portion of this new bill. Here we go.
At all. Now, Madam President, let me say a few words about what is in this legislation, a bill which, in my view, has some good features, but also has some very bad features. One of the issues that it deals with is prescription drugs. And the good news, Madam President, is that the reconciliation bill finally begins to lower the outrageous price of some of the most expensive prescription drugs under Medicare. According to the most recent data, if we do nothing, Medicare will spend about $1.8 trillion over the next decade on prescription drugs, and our nation as a whole will spend $5 trillion, and that is not only outrageous, but it is unsustainable. But, Madam President, here is the bad news. The prescription drug provisions in this bill are extremely weak, and it's hard to deny that. They are extremely complex, they take too long to go into effect, and they go nowhere. They go nowhere near as far as they should to take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry, whose actions are literally killing Americans. 1 out of 5 Americans today cannot afford the prescription drugs their doctors prescribed, and some of them will die. Under this legislation, Medicare, for the first time in history, would be able to negotiate with the pharmaceutical industry to lower drug prices. And that is the good news. The bad news is that the negotiated prices would not go into effect until 2026.
2026. So this is something that they could pass this week, but we could be looking at a situation where it doesn't go into effect until 2026. So that is very shocking. Okay, that is something that they need to change, because this won't have an effect on a lot of people for a very, very long time.
4 years from now. So you're not going to see any changes over the next 4 years. Further, in 2026, only 10 drugs would be negotiated, with more to come in later years.
Okay, so we knew this, and I talked a little bit about this. I said it was going to be some prescription medication. I talked about this last week, but when it comes down to it, they're going to start with 10, and then they'll move forward from there. So they're not going to be negotiating all the prescription medication. It's just going to be a few, and then we're talking 4 years down the road, and then they'll start implementing or adding more medication to this. So this is one of those things that's going to take a very, very long time to really see any type of benefit from this bill. And the problem with this is if you're calling it the Inflation Reduction Act, that's okay. But if it's not showing if it's not showing that it's reducing inflation or lowering inflation, and that's a huge problem because the American people will see this bill get passed and nothing will happen for a very, very long time. We'll forget about it before we start seeing the benefits of this plan.
Moreover, with the possible exception of insulin, this bill does nothing to lower prescription drug prices for anyone who is not on Medicare. Under this bill, at a time when the pharmaceutical companies are making outrageous profits, the drug companies will still be allowed to charge the American people by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. A couple of years ago, took a trip with some Midwesterners over the border into Canada, where they purchased insulin for 1/10 of the price that was being charged in the United States, because in Canada, like virtually every other country on earth, they negotiate prices with the industry. Madam President, if we are really serious about reducing the price of prescription drugs, something that the American people desperately want us to do, it is no secret as to how we can achieve that goal. For over 30 years, the Veterans Administration, and I'm very proud of the legislation that we just passed a moment ago for the VA, but the VA has been negotiating with the pharmaceutical industry to lower the price of prescription drugs. They've been doing it for 30 years, not a new idea. Moreover, for decades, virtually every other major country on earth has been doing exactly the same thing, which is why the price of prescription drugs in Canada, Mexico, all over Europe is far less expensive than in the United States. The result of where we are today is that Medicare pays twice as much for the exact same prescription drugs as the VA, and Americans in some cases may pay 10 times more for a particular drug as the people of any major country are. So you have the absurd situation of one government agency, the VA, because they have been negotiating drugs seriously, all drugs, for 30 years, pays half of what Medicare is paying today. In other words, if we are going to solve this problem, when it comes to reducing the price of prescription drugs under Medicare, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We could simply require Medicare to pay no more for prescription drugs than the VA. And Madam President, if we did that, we could literally cut the price of prescription drugs under Medicare in half. We could cut the price in half in a matter of months, not years. In February, I introduced legislation with Senator Klobuchar that would do exactly that. Under that legislation, we could save Medicare $900 billion over the next decade. That is 9 times more savings than the rather weak negotiation provisions in this bill. And by the way, with those enormous savings, we could expand Medicare to provide comprehensive dental, vision, and hearing benefits to every senior in America. It could be used, furthermore, to lower the Medicare eligibility age to at least 60, and it could be used to extend the solvency of Medicare. That's what we could do with those savings that we're not achieving under this proposed bill. What are the other prescription drug provisions in the reconciliation bill? Well, under this legislation, pharmaceutical companies would essentially be prohibited from increasing prescription drug prices above inflation, pegged to the year 2021. Should we be making sure that pharmaceutical companies cannot increase their prices above general inflation? Yes. But let us be clear. This provision would lock in all of the extraordinary price increases the pharmaceutical industry has made in recent years and would do nothing to lower those outrageously high prices. It would control cost in the future, limiting what the industry could charge, but it would not lower prices. Under this legislation, out-of-pocket prescription drug costs for seniors would be capped at $2,000 a year, and that is a good benefit, which will benefit up to 2 million seniors who currently pay over $2,000 a year for prescription drugs, often people who are dealing with cancer and with other very serious illnesses that require expensive drugs. But the $25 billion cost of that provision will not be paid for by the pharmaceutical industry, which is making record-breaking profits. In other words, we're going to cap the price. Guess who's paying for it? You got it. It will be paid for by increased premiums on virtually every senior citizen in America, although there is a provision to smooth out those premium increases. The current reconciliation bill that we are looking at would also provide free vaccines for seniors, the only population for which vaccines are not already free, and this is a good thing, something that we should have done a long time ago. Finally, Madam President, in terms of prescription drugs, it looks like the reconciliation bill will cap co-pays for insulin at $35 a month, which is a good step forward for people with health insurance, but would do nothing to lower the cost of insulin for the 1.6 million diabetics who are currently uninsured and who in fact need our help the most. So, this bill does something in terms of prescription drugs, but nowhere near enough given the crisis that we face.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. He talked for about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So I don't want to play the whole clip, but I did want to show you that the issues that he has with Medicare. And you see that obviously there's some things that are good that's in this bill, but there are also some things that they need to improve on. And when he's talking about the medication and talking about negotiating these prices, I just found it really odd that they're only going to start with 10 and then move forward. I found that it was very odd that this isn't going to go into effect until 2026, which means that we're not going to see anything in the near future. That means people will still be suffering for these 4 years until they can really do something when it comes to Medicare. And when you're looking at the VA situation that he was talking about, where the VA negotiates with pharmaceutical companies, it's a no-brainer. Medicare should be doing the same thing, because the bottom line, and I know people that are saying, well, I'm not on Medicare, so why should I even care? Well, part of your paycheck, when you work, part of your paycheck is going towards Medicare. Okay, so you're paying for this. Even though you're not on Medicare right now, you are paying for this in the hopes that in the future, when you are able to get Medicare, you're able to get Medicare, but you have to pay into it right now, just like you're paying into Social Security right now. So this could affect everyone. If we're in a situation where Medicare has more money, if they're able to negotiate these prices with the pharmaceutical companies and cut out the middlemen, because the middlemen are taking money. They're taking a lot of this money. And that's why we pay more. That's why when we go, when I'm in Colombia right now, I can go to a pharmacy in Colombia and the cost of the same medication that I can get in the U.S. would be 10 times cheaper. And that's solely because of the structure that we have in the U.S., where we have middlemen in there negotiating prices, when we should have the insurance companies negotiating directly with the pharmaceutical companies. We have that middleman in there, and they're taking their rebates, and so they're getting money on top of this whole situation. And so that's something that I think that we should really be focused on. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see them pass a bill right before a midterm, pass a bill that doesn't do anything. Because if you pass a bill that doesn't do anything, people are going to be upset the fact that why are you making a big deal about something that won't happen for another 4 years? And so I talked about this. What I think should happen is they should be doing standalone bills. They should be trying to do a standalone bill, a bipartisan bill, or at least open it up as a bipartisan bill for Medicare, to improve Medicare. Focus on that first, and then they can focus on some of these other things later. When it comes down to the minimum tax rate of 15% for corporations, I think that's a no-brainer. They should be doing that automatically. And so what I'm saying is when it comes to Medicare, there should be a standalone bill for that. When it comes to the 15% tax, minimum tax for corporations, they should do a standalone bill for that. When it comes to the climate change provisions, they should be doing a standalone bill for that. And really make the bill effective. Make the bill have an effect immediately. If this is an Inflation Reduction Act, it should be immediate because we're looking at inflation at all-time highs right now, 9.1% year to year. We need to do something about that. And one of the other good things that this bill does have is it will pay down the deficit, $300 billion to pay down the deficit, but that won't be immediate either. That will take some time, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that taking time, but when we're talking about some of these other things, when we're talking about negotiating prices and we're talking about prescription medication, they should be lowering that immediately. That shouldn't be something that we have to wait 4 years in order to see. So I want to know what you guys think about this whole thing. I will show different portions of this clip in the future because he does talk about some of the other things. He talks about everything, actually, that's in this bill. So I will bring that forward, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the different things, the climate change, as well as the 15% corporate tax. And so I really want to know what you guys think about the Medicare changes, so let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.